Time now to take a look at what's making headlines around the world. And Dipti Laurent is back in the studio with me. Hi again, Dipti. Now, the Charlotte Observer has penned an editorial urging police to release the video footage of the Keith Lamont Scott shooting in Charlotte.
It's a really impassioned editorial, Rochelle, from that local paper in Charlotte. The editors say that to bring clarity to what Scott was carrying in his hand, police need to release that video. The police chief there says that laws actually prohibit them from making that video public. But as the paper notes, that specific law actually comes into effect on October the 1st. So if the police chief does want to obtain that video, he can do that legally for the moment. The paper says that if it was released, the video would help, quote, roll back the uncertainty that feeds mistrust. And they also implore protesters to go forward peacefully and to, quote, purge their ranks of belligerent provocators.
Okay, let's move to U.S. foreign policy now, specifically in Syria. Dipti, Sergei Lavrov and John Kerry butting heads yesterday during a UN Security Council meeting. Tell us more.
Well, Aleppo is between fire and blood. That's what L'Orient Le Jour, it's a Lebanese French language paper, says on its front page. And it also reports that Aleppo faced its worst day of violence since that ceasefire went into effect yesterday. Now, while that was happening, Russia and the U.S. were sparring at the UN Security Council meeting, accusing each other of violating the terms of the ceasefire. Kerry has proposed grounding all aircraft in northern Syria to allow humanitarian aid to go through and to ensure there'll be no future strikes on civilians. But Russia is still yet to approve of this. Now, Kerry was also at that meeting, the Security Council meeting. Kerry was still insisting that the ceasefire is in place. But look at this cartoon from Al-Quds, an Arabic language paper, really saying that the U.S. continued to push forward the ceasefire to sort of cover up the blood that's being spilt in Syria, and very clearly blood that's that's overflowing in Syria.
Well, it's a very powerful cartoon. Meanwhile, in the Wall Street Journal, a former NATO chief has written a surprising opinion piece on the US's foreign policy.
That NATO chief is Anders Fogh Rasmussen, who you might remember was also Denmark's prime minister, former prime minister. In this article for the Wall Street Journal, he says the U.S. needs to act as the world's policeman in order to counter, quote, autocrats like President Putin. He critiques the Obama administration, saying that Obama's reluctance to lead the world, for the U.S. to lead the world, has had serious repercussions. While the EU and U.S. slept, he says, Russia launched a ruthless operation in Syria to help the Assad regime. For Rasmussen, the next U.S. president must ensure that America emerges from what he calls isolationism.
Well, speaking of a divided Europe, The Independent is revealing some explosive allegations in the Calais camp today.
Very, very explosive, Rochelle. You can read more about it in a very in-depth article in the British daily The Independent, which reports that certain volunteers in the Calais migrant camp, that is more commonly known as the jungle, have been accused of sexually exploiting refugees and, in some cases, child migrants. Now, the information first emerged in a Facebook post that was later removed, in which a male volunteer sort of talked about these rumors that he had heard of minors, in some cases, refugee minors having sex with volunteers. Any relationship, even if it is consensual, is strictly forbidden by the UNHCR rules, their code of conduct, because they say it goes against what they call an unequal power relationship. But as we know, there is an absence of structure in that Calais migrant camp, and many say the alleged sexual exploitation is a symbol of the fact that, quote, the jungle is not being recognized as an official refugee camp.
Okay, well, changing gears now, we're going to end on some Brangelina news. Deep-sea French actress Marion Cotillard has put an end to rumours that she had something to do with the breakup of the century, as they're calling it.
She's done it in a very cool way. She posted on Instagram in which she announced her pregnancy. She's pregnant with her second child, but no, it's not Brad Pitt's. It's her longtime partner, Guillaume Canet. She said she had to speak up because, quote, this situation is spiraling. Now, some say that she may have had an alleged affair with Brad Pitt, which led to the demise of his marriage with Angelina Jolie. But Cotillard has clearly put an end to those rumors.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Deepti Laurent, with the International Press Review.